Good in
Back to work today, but it's not had it all.
Oh, you really does get that. Okay. Are we on?
You should be on.
Turn her microphone on.
No, it's on.
Chris was having an issue earlier. We had to unplug.
Was it? I just got hooked up to the handle.
It's 6:30 and we're gonna begin our conversation with the community meeting. If you could all please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, I welcome you all here, and for those of you that haven't been to this particular meeting, this is designed to be a two-way conversation between the board and our community. We started this about a year ago, and always welcome the opportunity once a month in board meetings to dialogue with you. So before we begin, I'm going to read the rules of engagement. The purpose of this gathering is to hear from and converse with members of the public. Format is an informal discussion forum. The board president holds the authority to restrict the length of time or cease the conversation with any participant or on any topic of conversation. No predetermined agenda topics will be discussed, yet some rules do apply. Employee personnel matters are considered confidential and therefore should not be brought up. Address the board as a whole. Do not single out individual board members. Though majority quorum of the board will be present, no official board actions will be taken. Decisions will not be made, votes will not be taken, and official meeting minutes will not be taken. Additionally, I would like to reference policy 643 of our policy and procedure manual for Arrowhead High School. It shall be the policy of the Board of Education to prohibit any student, citizen, individual, or groups of students, citizens, or individuals to assemble or congregate in any school building or in the school property if such assemblage, 1, does not have the approval of the board or its designated administrative officer, 2, serves as a distraction or disruption to the operation of the school's program or activities, or 3, creates an apprehension of great bodily harm to any person or damage to any public property. Violation of this policy shall subject students and others to appropriate disciplinary action, i.e. suspension, expulsion, and referral to the police. So again, thank you all for coming. As you step up to the podium to present, I ask that you be respectful and do a little self-limiting of your time at the podium. And when you come to the podium, if you could please state your name. So I welcome the first guest up.
Good evening, everybody, and good evening, guests. We've got esteemed visitors from as far away as Menominee Falls today, and members of Red and Republican Party in Fort County. Put out the call, so welcome. I'm glad you found our little hamlet. Those of you who were with Red was a little closer. I think it was much easier for you to find. John Norcross, a parent of an actual student here in the school. I've got a few questions because policy 335 is the big show today. My first question is, who wrote the initial draft of policy 335?
The initial draft of the policy was presented by Chris Ferris at a policy meeting.
So he wrote it. Did he compose it?
I cannot speak to where where the origin of the policy began.
Okay, so we don't know who did the typing of it.
Cannot tell you, John. No.
Okay. And what is the problem statement for this policy? What is the problem statement for this policy? What problem does this policy seek to solve?
The policy seeks to solve a lack of policy. It may not be known, but in fact, Arrowhead has never had a policy in place that dictates the environment in which the students day-to-day operate. And this policy seeks to do that.
Who asked for it though? Let me put it another way. How many students, parents, or teachers did you engage in the development of this policy?
I would say, just from an overall constituent standpoint, we've heard that this is something that our constituents have wanted for a while. So we have engaged, me personally, I've engaged with quite a few constituents on this issue.
But have you formally, as part of the development process? I mean, we know there's a history of the board responding to or indulging anonymous emails. And I know that through an open records request up until about June 21st, there was a 2-to-1 ratio of emails against this policy. But as part of the problem solving process, did you engage them? Did you bring them into a consultation? Did you ask them to help them define the problem?
I think, John, that often policy can be developed without a lot of engagement like you're talking about, where a lot of people come into the environment and have a lot of say in the development of policy.
I'm only holding you to your own standard of behavioral expectations that you set yourselves at the offsite. You will engage stakeholders, you will engage experts. And to my knowledge, you haven't. In fact, in many cases, you've been very dismissive of constituents and stakeholders.
May I ask in what way we've been dismissive?
Stop email responses saying thank you so much for your input, and that's it. No further engagement to try and say, please come in. You have let me tell you how I hear your concern. Let me see how I can find out if others share your concern. It's been dismissive. I mean, the board member is not here, unfortunately, to talk about some of this dismissiveness. This has not been an engaging process. It doesn't solve the problem. We've still not really said that you followed the problem-solving process that you said you would follow. You haven't engaged stakeholders. I'll leave with this, okay? So the biggest problem that we're going to have is that this specifically discriminates against racial minorities and LGBTQ kids. We have an email where a constituent was worried about whether BLM, Black Lives Matter flags, and pride flags will be removed from school. And the response from the board member was, I assure you that your items of concern will be removed from the school due to the board's procedural oversight. And we've had comments in the past that have targeted the LGBT community. Those students have come here and bare their souls. How are you targeting these groups?
I think personally that it's not a matter of targeting. I think that the policy is an encompassing policy that basically is an umbrella for everyone. And that in fact, when we start categorically designing signs and stickers and banners for one category of students, whether it's around minority issues or gender preferences, or whether it's around people who are marginalized through drug addiction problems or through alcohol addiction problems, or whether it's around people who have weight issues. Where do we stop, John, with putting signs in the school? And so it's not targeting any one particular category of people. I think it is an all-encompassing, universal, pro-human policy.
It's not pro-human, this is a monoculture. This is a monoculture. You're ignoring the individuals that come to the school. You're ignoring the mosaic that they contribute to. There are fat kids, there are skinny kids. There are bullied kids, there are kids who don't get bullied. There are kids who come from stable homes and non-stable homes. There are LGBTQ kids and there are straight kids. We can treat them as individuals and still be one team. I don't see why we have to have this
Trying to make
monoculture.
the school itself a safe place.
That's
The
the
entire school.
Yeah, when you have one safety,
Pockets.
then put stickers on all the other places then. That would be the easy thing to do. To declare it's all one safe space ignores the fact that it isn't. And it ignores the fact that if every teacher comes into this school and these rooms with one fundamental job, to create the environment where the kids can bring out their best. And in many cases, that means making sure that marginalized groups are not marginalized. They are not bullied and they are not harassed in school settings. We're going to hear more about that later.
Thank you for your comments, John. Who would like to go next?
Hi, my name is Amber Karbowski, and I have like 3 questions for you guys. Are any of you educators?
I was in the past.
Okay. Have any of you ever been in a school on the north side of Milwaukee? Okay. I have a master's in education. I taught in the north side of Milwaukee. Not everybody is safe. And it really upsets me that you guys believe that everybody is safe, because there's teachers that are not safe. I've had to call out adults who are supposed to have children's best interests because they called a child a name because they were black, or because a child was gay, or their parents were gay. And that's not right. And I'm so tired of hearing that everything is safe, but adults are not always safe. And some of these kids are coming from homes where they don't feel safe, and their school is the one place where they should feel safe, and they don't. And I think that you guys are going to be, one, losing enrollment, because I will tell you that my child is scared as hell to come here because she doesn't feel like there's going to be a safe place for her. And I will tell you that I also think you're going to lose your staff because you are taking away their say. That's all I have to say.
I would like to just kind of address that. Part of the discussion during our policy committee, kind of the work sessions that go into the whole process of policy approval. I was tasked with reaching out to a number of other schools that had already put a policy similar to this in place. So I reached out to 3 different schools and spoke to 3 different individuals about a number of different categories. One of them was the perception of safety from students, pre and post adoption of the policy. Another was impact on teacher retention. And honestly, the feedback that I received, that I reported on to the policy committee meeting, suggested that on the questions that were asked, which again informed our group as to what to anticipate for consequences of the policy, the feedback was overall extremely positive.
And I would say that Kettle Moraine School District is a school district just like Arrowhead. It's got money. These school districts have a lot of money and a lot of conservative families and a lot of, I don't want to stereotype and say, but people that are opposed to people who are gay or transgender. I don't feel that those are good representations. Had you gone into MPS? Maybe. And talked to MPS's school boards about how they're doing things. I just feel like it is very divisive and it is going to create more problems than you guys realize.
Thank you for your comments.
I just have to very quick piggyback off of what she said. I also I'm also an educator, and I also have my master's, and I also happen to teach at one of the schools that you talked to. And I was at the last meeting, and I just wanted to follow up and make sure that I'm not sure if it was you or someone else, but you all, one of the schools that I work at did report back that they did and are losing staff. Just wanted that correct. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paul. I speak for myself, not for my family, not for my employers. When I first heard of this proposal, I thought maybe it was put on the agenda as a way to pander to ignorant or bigoted constituents. I really thought that you were trying to give everybody a voice, and I certainly bring a bias to the table for sure. But I asked myself what else could be true, and I tried to investigate. And then I read some comments in the press that taking away these signs would make everybody equal and ensure that no one felt marginalized or discriminated against. And this argument was so shallow and so obviously transparent that it wasn't just pandering to the weak. It was rather one more way that white, straight majority people like me could belittle, discriminate, and harm people who are different. We all know that all parents, regardless of what side of the argument you're on, we all want what's best for our kids. But we as parents don't always know what is best for our kids. For example, I'm a pediatric oncologist. I specialize in leukemia and lymphoma, and I would argue that I know more about leukemia and lymphoma than any other person in this room, because I don't recognize anybody else in my field in this room. But I would also argue that I don't have a teaching degree. I don't teach middle school. I don't teach high school. So I limit my critique of our teachers and their decisions and their curriculum because I'm not qualified. Similarly, I would submit that this board and this audience is not the most qualified group to independently assess the impact on our students of removing inclusivity messages from our school. And I'm not just talking about the LGBTQ students, the students of color, but all of our students, straight white kids like mine. So I ask, in preparation for this discussion, what expert opinion did you solicit? What were the names of the children's pediatricians that you asked for input from? Who were the developmental pediatricians you consulted? Who were the adolescent medicine physicians that you consulted? Who are the pediatric psychologists that you consulted, the pediatric psychiatrists? Did you talk to the Fairview Medical College of Wisconsin Inclusivity Clinic? Did you talk to the MCW Office of Inclusion and Diversity? Did you talk to Courage MKE? Did you talk to Milwaukee Pride? Did you talk to the Refugee and Immigrant Services from Catholic Charities? Or did you just talk to Wisconsin Red? Or did you come up with this all by yourselves? How does it diminish a white kid to have friends and colleagues who are people of color? How does it diminish a straight kid to offer friendship and acceptance of a queer kid? How does it diminish a Wisconsin board student to welcome an immigrant or refugee in the community? It does not diminish them. It elevates them. So I ask you, how does it diminish a school to both model and broadcast signs of welcoming and inclusivity to the young men and women who will become our future leaders? Taking away these signs says, we're not safe anymore. This is not a safe space.
When I got here, I wasn't planning on talking. My son is a member of this school. I'm an educator. I don't speak for my school. I speak for my son. And I speak for myself. If you're trying to write a policy, as you stated, on the day-to-day life of the students, shouldn't you get the input of the students and the staff, the people who know the day-to-day life of them the best? You say that you spoke to none of them. You say that you spoke to no staff and no students. That's one of the biggest questions I have. You also talk about an umbrella policy. Is that really the best for everyone? Teachers don't teach to an umbrella policy. If we teach to an umbrella policy, there are so many students that will be left behind. We have to teach to each individual student. If we just teach to one learning style, everybody else in the classroom will be left behind. We forget about everyone else. And you talk about the safe space, that the school is a safe space for everyone. My child is not safe at this school. I have been in contact with the school all year long in regards to his safety. And it's because of these silly little stickers that you guys want to tear down that he felt safe enough to speak up and to speak out and to say that he was not safe and that people were attacking him and people were bullying him
and people were sexually assaulting him. And you want to get rid of them. You think this is okay. A sticker made it better for him.
Hi, I just want to say that I do support this. I think it's a slippery slope that we start to go down when you start putting flags of all sorts of anything, the pride flag, the BLM flag, then you can start going down and having all kinds of flags here. You know, I mean, I have been a coach here for 8 years. I had somebody who came in from South Africa. Maybe she wants her flag here. I think it's a slippery slope. And I think we see this in our society all over the place. So I don't think, yes, school is a safe place, but there's no real safe place at school. I mean, there's all kinds of people here, good people, bad people, good students, bad students. And I think you have to just take it in generalize and you know, and you don't know that some of those other flags might really offend somebody else. Because you don't know if maybe on the flip side, they were attacked or hurt by somebody that you're displaying a flag for them. So I agree with your policy. I give you kudos for standing up and just saying, hey, the American flag, the state flag, that's fine. And there can be counselors or groups or something else for these people that, different groups that need to find different outlets. And I sat here in a meeting and I saw the robotics group and they were amazing, amazing people. I don't know what they were made of, you know, I don't know what their sexual orientation is. I don't care. We're in high school. We don't need that kind of stuff. So I support you and I applaud you. Thank you.
Try to go for 2 in a row on that theme. First of all, I'd like to express my sincere sorrow for your daughter or son, whoever was sexually assaulted in school. I haven't heard that, but I feel sorry that occurred to you if that happened. See that. As for tonight's vote, some will perpetuate the idea of safe spaces. And in reality, we know in life there are no safe spaces. Some want to promote Black Lives Matter when in fact all lives matter. If we grow and mature, we must face and overcome hardships and learn to think for ourselves. Anyone who works out in a gym realizes that in order for muscle to build, it must be tested and stressed. There is no safe space in building muscle. That doesn't mean you drop weights on other people either. The whole notion of safe spaces, frankly, is insulting. To think that we don't have the moral character, the thick skin, or the confidence in ourselves that they need to retreat into a pre-designated room or whatever a safe space is demeaning. I submit to you that safe spaces are nothing more than places that dumb down our citizenry and our students. They are degenerative. Safe places are like the proverbial adage, what do you do with mushrooms? Keep them in the dark and feed them crap. Most days I would say, Mr. Norcross, and those with your ideology, we should be praying for you. But tonight, their ideals should be disregarded or cleansed. These people have tried to hijack our schools for too long. They are bent on frantically trying to use our education system to further nefarious ends and societal whims, unrelated to math, reading, science, American history, true American history, and the arts. The education system is not a social experiment with our children. Individual speaking here to my right, who I won't name, is a pitiful exemplar of whining, sniveling, and an angry man who represents the minority of this community. How do I know this? By virtue of the fact you, sir, are not on the board. You're not serving on the board with any of these other people. Here is the educational mandate that I propose that you adhere to and we expect from our school leaderships. First of all, we do not want to shelter our children from maturation. We do not want our children to be raised by the school system. We do not want our children to become social pawns for a larger political message. We do not want our children to be experimented with their bodies at the risk of permanent damage to them. We do want to raise our children. It's my turn. We do not want to raise our children.
No.
We do want our children to learn how to deal with conflict. We do want our children to think critically for themselves. We do want our children to be proficient with the tools needed to thrive in society, such as reading, writing, arithmetic, science, and history. We do want our children to live a morally upright lifestyle, adhering to natural laws that have been in place since the beginning of humankind. Members of the Arrowhead School Board, tonight is the night to put an end to this debate and to begin the task of voting out things in our school district that are not part of the educational mandate you have been given. We have schools to teach our children academic proficiency, to learn to think for themselves and not to cater to pressures and whims. You have the support of the vast majority of this community. The parents of this community elected you. And as such, you sit on the board and have been empowered to vote as you have been elected to serve. Turn off the noise and vote to return our schools to the institution of learning. Thank you very much.
I'd like to dovetail on that. Okay, so make some points about, let's see, making sure that we're just focusing on the, academics, right? So can we cancel out our sports? Can we cancel out our curriculars, extracurriculars, if we're just going to be focusing on just the, academics? What do you guys think about that? Because a slippery slope is what we're having here. You are going to start banning things that are representative of your student body, and they are not going to feel welcome. I heard no place here is a safe space. I saw some head nodding, yet you guys at your policy meeting have insisted that the entire school should be a safe place. You have insisted. I'm sure everybody else who was at the policy meeting remembers you guys saying that. So I really think that you guys really need to rethink this some more. I'm so frustrated that you have had so many people, and what I think Mr. Norcross said, that a 2-to-1 ratio up until at least the 21st of people opposed to the policy. So when one person says that you have the vast majority of approval for this, that is not correct.
I think individuals who state that people would want to find a safe space to be treated like mushrooms and put in a dark corner and that crap are exactly why we need the safe spaces. So thank you for making that point.
Good evening. My name is Amy. As I stand before you today, not only as a member of the Arrowhead community, but also as a parent with a vested interest in the future of the school district. I have multiple children who may soon become students at Arrowhead, and it is with great urgency that I implore you to vote against policy 335. I understand that the proponents of this policy argue that Arrowhead is one united team, one high school, and all one. And indeed, that is true. But let me emphasize that unity does not require uniformity. Uniformity. Unity does not mean erasing the diverse needs and experiences of our students. In fact, as Americans, we recognize and address the vast diversity of needs, wants, and interests in our great nation every day. When certain groups of people come forward seeking support for their unique needs or interests, we as Americans extend our helping hand. We create breastfeeding or pumping stations in public places. We provide changing tables and men's bathrooms for our hardworking dads. We ensure handicap accessible buildings and parking spots for those who require them. We offer enrichment courses for gifted students and provide additional support for students facing challenges in specific subject matter. We even have food stamps to aid those in financial need and backstage passes for passionate Taylor Swift fans called Swifties. At Arrowhead, The group of students who would be directly affected by the removal of these safe spaces has reached out to you and expressed their genuine need for these spaces. By voting to ban safe spaces, you risk extinguishing the vibrant tapestry of diversity that makes Arrowhead great. We can be united as one while still celebrating our individual differences. Now, if the argument is that these students are not considered stakeholders, because most of them do not have the right to vote, then I submit to you that you are mistaken. As a member of the school board, your primary duty is to serve the best interests of the students. The very essence of the school and its governing body is to create an environment that fosters growth, inclusivity, and success for every student who walks through its doors. So I urge you to reject policy 335. Let us show our students that their voices matter, that their unique needs are acknowledged and addressed. Together, we can create a truly unified and inclusive Arrowhead that values the diversity of our student body and still be all one. Thank you.
Removing the stickers does not remove all of the resources, personnel, and hard work and dedication that has been done by the likes of Adam Holt as Director of Student Services here. Right now, Arrowhead offers 2 teams of Arrowhead counselors, one for South Campus, one for North Campus. It offers school psychologists. It offers individual counseling. It offers support groups. It offers community mental health resources. It offers student assistance programs for alcohol and drug problems, by way of assistance and referrals. It also offers something called calling room resources, which is kind of an interesting thing. These things are all posted on the website. They have taken years and years for Adam Bolt to put in place. And there is an absolute process by way on a case-by-case basis. Each child is positioned within the student services area, and the resources are provided to support him, her, or the family. And so these things are not going away. They're all in place.
I really, truly appreciate that. As many resources that are available is what we need to give to people that need those resources. But I would also say to that as someone, as an adolescent especially, who has very labile emotions, right? They're in that period of time when their emotions are developing, and something happens at school where they're very stressed or upset, then having someone that they can go to at that time and know where they can go to that's a safe place to speak to is super important, because labile emotions also bring about labile actions. So that immediate need to know where to go is important. But I will also add that knowing a teacher personally and knowing that that is a safe place to go is much easier for someone that has decided they have a need they need to discuss, and not go to this group that maybe they know no one in it, they don't know the leader. So having someone that they know that they can trust is a different resource than the groups. The groups are great, but as the gentleman before said, you need to, we need to build up the muscle on these kids, give them some thick skin. I ask, can't you build up the muscle and thick skin to walk by a 2-inch sticker on a door if it doesn't apply to you?
I think if we can, this will be the last comment. We will try to make time for absolutely everyone during the public portion of the board meeting.
Yeah, thanks so much for letting me just say a few words before you start the board meeting. I know you're over time. I really appreciate it. My name is Jenny, and I sent you all an email 2 nights ago with my perspective on this, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to emphasize a couple of things. First of all, I'm trying to just kind of have a conversation, because as you can see, and as I can see, it's quite interesting. And everyone has a very perspective on where they want to go. So I just want to emphasize a couple of points and offer you some thoughts. I know you're doing this because you care about the student body. I know you're doing it because you want a diverse student body, and you want to neutralize any ill will or any feelings from any of the students. But I want to piggyback on a few things that a couple of the other speakers said, a couple of the speakers said, there's no safe space in this world. And you're right, there isn't. Not everybody is safe for everyone, and that's okay. Not everyone has to be safe for everyone. But what's important is the people who are safe need to be identified. So how are the teachers, how are the school psychologists, how are the counselors going to be able to be identified once this policy is put in place? I just ask you to think about that. I don't have the answer. I don't think you have the answer. The administration is going to have to deal with that. In my email, I let you know that my oldest child graduated in 2019 and is part of the LGBT community. I have another child who graduated in 2021 and a child that will be a senior next year. All of them have their own challenges. All teenagers do. But as a mom of a child who came out in 7th grade, the ostracizing, the pain, the bullying is more than a parent should have to endure. A difficult and challenging thing. And she had a tough time at Arrowhead. She had a very difficult time, but there was one teacher who was safe for her. One teacher who she could talk to, who she could open up to. And it made all the difference. And I know you're not going to take that away. There still will be teachers who are safe. But shouldn't teachers have the right to acknowledge that they're safe in their own ways? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I ask you to think about that. I ask you maybe to work this policy just a little bit further. You have one of the best market researchers on this board that I know. That market researcher hasn't been asked to design a research for the parents, all the parents of this school. That's another avenue. Thank you. I want for all children in this school, and the LGBT children, and the African American children, the Asian children, the Hmong children, everyone. I want them all to be able to be themselves and be able to identify a person here who will make the world a difference, just like it did for my child. And I just ask you, what are the avenues for that, and how will you protect that ability to bring awareness? Kim, you said earlier, you can't do drug addicts or people who are fat. Well, how are you going to promote Weight Watchers then if you can't hold up a sign? How are you going to promote the Spanish Club if you can't hold a sign? So it is a slippery slope, but it's a slippery slope both ways, right? And I just ask you to consider that and think through that, and I thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. We are waiting for you.